Hey guys, do you know that Google Stadia, it's here to stay. All components of it, they're here to stay.
Tell whoever responds that we're going down by the head and need immediate assistance.
Now, we've covered Stadia a lot on this channel, pretty much from its inception all the way up now to the moment where we may be seeing its demise. The question is, how much can Stadia disappoint its subscribers even more now?
The limit does not exist. The limit does not exist.
Now, there's a bit to get through today, but ultimately the closure of the Stadia studios may be saying a lot about the future of Stadia. Now, a lot of you will know that Stadia was actually announced in 2019 during Google's keynote address at the 2019 Game Developers Conference in March of 2019. Now, there's a lot of hype behind it because when this was announced, a lot of people thought, well, hang on, maybe because they're such a major player in the technological space, Google that is, maybe they can be a real disruptor to gaming in general, especially cloud gaming, which is still an emerging market. So some people were excited. I thought there was going to be some issues here. Now, the first big issue I thought is there's so many previous projects that Google has done that don't ever actually come out. Now, it's a big company. I understand that they're going to try a lot of prototypes, a lot of ventures that don't work out, but there's a dedicated website showing the mountain of projects that never actually got released or failed, including, of course, the notorious Google Glass.
Google Glass, tell me where I can find that black coat.
What black coat? Oh, mine?
What's that?
What, are you talking to me?
Oh, I'm on Google Glass, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So when this was announced, a lot of people thought, okay, is this just going to be Google Glass? Is this going to be yet another venture that doesn't actually fully get off the ground or gets to a certain spot? And Google's like, we don't want to do this anymore. Then there's the price model, which pissed a lot of people off. Ultimately, $10 a month to play 4K gaming. You had to pay a membership, and on top of that, purchase the games that were going to be on the Stadia store. For a lot of people, that meant buying the game again. You could have already potentially bought it on Steam or wherever, and you had to buy it again on the Stadia marketplace, which of course pissed people off and worried people even more. And one of the biggest things was the exclusivity that Stadia was going to try and corner, because hey, everyone wants to play Orcs Must Die 3. That was one of the games that they promised was going to be an exclusive. I, for one, am a huge fan of Orcs Must Die 3. No, but all jokes aside, a lot of people do in fact want to play that game. That is an exclusive on Stadia. And the big problem with exclusives on a cloud-based network is a lot of regions, like Australia, we can't play that. So I have just been devastated since I live in Australia that I couldn't play Orcs Must Die 3. And this problem with regions is ultimately because some internet in the world is just not fast enough, or the infrastructure technology is just not where it needs to be. So places like Australia, it's just too slow.
Hey, just because he's a little slow.
Something was said. Not good. What was it? Slow? They called you slow! How dare you call me that?
Going down by the head.
So since launch, Stadia has had a bit of a shaky run, both PR-wise and breaking into the market, with, let's be real, a limited amount of games really landing there compared to what they would really need to succeed. Well, today, Stadia, well, Google actually, okay, the owners of Google Glass, have announced that they are closing all their studios within the Stadia umbrella that would be making games. Google is closing its first-party Stadia games and entertainment studios, abandoning its plans for exclusive games. Both the Los Angeles and Montreal SG&E studios are being shut down, as companies explain in an announcement. Creating best-in-class games from the ground up takes many years and significant investment, and the cost is going up exponentially, Vice President and General Manager Phil Harrison said. Given our focus on building on the proven technology of Stadia, as well as deepening our business partnerships, we've decided that we will not be investing further in bringing exclusive content from our internal development team, SG&E, beyond any near-term planned games. Okay, the first question. Is anyone really surprised? Before we even get there, proven technology? We saw the laggy shit. We know this was a bumpy ride, Stadia.
I'm about to bust. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was the bathroom. Oh, good Lord.
Now, one of the worst parts about this is actually because the studios were made about 2 years ago, There's about 150 devs that now have a very uncertain future. But Google, they're committed apparently. Google did say in a statement they are committed to working with this talented team to find new roles and support them. We'll have to see if they deliver on that promise and actually take care of these devs. We do know, a lot of people out there know, that finding jobs in game development, it's a hard thing to find. It's a pretty small population of people that are lucky enough to actually work in the gaming business. I just hope that these 150 people do in fact find new roles and are supported. And this is another thing. The subscription model currently, what people have to pay, is staying exactly how it is for now at least. There's no actual announcement as to if there's going to be any changes in prices. But this is the thing. When you don't have an exclusive wing or some sort of arm that is producing content that was only going to be on Stadia, then you automatically diminish the value proposition, because there's other players out there now that are making cloud-based gaming a reality. So just wondering to see what are they going to do in terms of the prices, especially when they've come out and said they want to focus on third-party content and focus on the proven technology of Stadia. Saying that you're going to focus on the proven technology of Stadia and also focus on third-party studios doesn't really tell us much about how you're going to fill the void of the diminished value now that the average consumer isn't getting while they're still paying $10 a month for this thing. To that end, Google's 2021 plans will double down on efforts to help game developers and publishers take advantage of our platform's technology. On so many levels, this makes sense as to why they've done this, in terms of they've had to make some choices here. They've come out with a pricing model that pisses people off, and on top of that, tried to make some exclusive strategy that's trying to make people use Stadia, instead of just delivering a fantastic product that everyone wants to use because it's so fantastic. Now, because they were the first out of the gate, although Xbox was very close behind them, maybe they thought they could put this monthly subscription in place because they were the first ones really getting out there and delivering cloud gaming. And maybe they thought they could set the tone price-wise because they were kind of the first to the market. But let's not forget, Project xCloud was right behind them. Alpha testing, there was a lot of hype behind it. We knew it was coming. There was years of talk about it. And they're offering a huge range of games, a hardcore fan base that immediately puts xCloud in literally the hands of millions. Not only the current player base that own Xboxes and like the ecosystem of Xbox, but also the 20 odd years of previous people that may not be owning an Xbox now, but they like Halo, they like Gears of War, they like Forza, they like whatever. When they're able to play it on their phone, Xbox has a gigantic advantage because they've been doing this thing and making good IP, or at least a few years ago they were. They've been doing this for a long time, and they've got a brand out there that Stadia just does not have. The uphill battle was already hard enough for Stadia, but for them to come out with a 4K product when Xbox came out with a 720 product, Xbox probably knew that it was going to be a smoother road ahead if they just gave them more realistic expectations. Stadia probably wouldn't be in this situation where it was such a rocky launch at the beginning because so many people just couldn't fully experience this because Stadia was just promising too much. I do think cloud gaming is going to come down to, for a lot of companies, what IP do I own and how can I then charge the membership based on all the valuable IP I have. Xbox has that, Sony has that, and Nintendo has that. Stadia does not have that. For them to close these studios is obviously them knowing that it was going to be years before anything really came out that may be valuable to them. So in the long run, they thought, well, it's just not worth it. Let's just double down on third-party studios. And the last thing I say, this is becoming a more and more crowded market. We've got Amazon Luna. We've got, of course, Sony. Sony will double down on their cloud stuff sooner rather than later. Nintendo's already dabbling it with certain types of games in certain regions. We're going to see more of this. Project xCloud, of course, is doing really well. Stadia now may have been the first out of the gate, kind of, but in reality, I think they fumbled the ball big time, and there's too many competitors now for them to really stand a chance. I do think it's only a matter of time before Stadia wraps it up, everybody. There's going to be Google Glass, as we've said before. It's going to happen. I can tell it. It's going to happen. I reckon in a year's time, it's all going to be done. Again, it is a sad day for those developers. I really hope that Google does take care of them and actually gives them a place to work, or at least helps them on the way there. But guys, that is it for today. Love you, appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Laymen out.
Stadia, the look you want in performance basketball, running, and court shoes. At Kinney, the great American shoe store. Stadia! At Kinney, and only at Kinney.